Kakadosh, Erev Tov, Bekiim Halacha 5, day 71. We are on page 191. Halacha 8. Boys under bar mitzvah. So this is a very important halacha. When do boys under bar mitzvah start putting on tefillin? Very important halacha. Halacha 8. Right, we're talking about a katan shegel chinuch. Right, once a boy has reached the age of chinuch, if he's capable of maintaining the cleanliness of his body and understands not to fall asleep while wearing tefillin, his father is expected to train him, purchasing a set of tefillin for him to wear daily. This is usually a year or more before the boy becomes bar mitzvah. The boy may recite the appropriate beracha before putting on the tefillin, just as the rule with all mitzvot. Meaning, just like all the mitzvot of chinuch, the boy comes and he makes a beracha on chinuch, so to the mitzvah tefillin. So chinuch, he's going to do it. So it's just about a year, right? About a year before. Some people do 6 months before, whatever it is. But yeah, you've got a year before also as well. Right now, don't come and start doing it the same day. You don't know how many times they call me up. They're going to do the same day, and I'm telling them, why are you doing the same day? Doesn't make sense. Yeah, but again, it's a misconception. So obviously, we have to speak about it. So let's start. So he says as follows: 271. The Gemara teaches that if a boy knows how to care properly of tefillin, his father must purchase for him a tefillin. Rashi explained that this means that the boy appreciates the fact that the tefillin are holy. The Samag, Sefer Mitzvot Gadol, explained that it means that the boy knows how to maintain the cleanliness of his body and not fall asleep while they're wearing them. Although the Gemara does not specify, it appears that it is referring to a boy who has already reached the age of chinuch, but is not yet bar mitzvah. And it teaches that a father has an obligation to train him to do the mitzvah. Okay, so he says likewise in Erechin, the Gemara also says, including a child who understands how to treat tefillin correctly, is obligated to wear tefillin. Nonetheless, the itur, he brings down the passage in Sukkah refers to a 13-year-old boy, and there's no obligation, right, beforehand. However, though, he concurred with the first interpretation. So let's see the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah. Shulchan Aruch says, the father is obligated to purchase tefillin to train his son, right, once he understands how to treat tefillin and can be trusted not to fall asleep. The Ramah disagreed. He brings the itur, and he says the obligation to wear the tefillin begins only on the 13th birthday. And he concluded that no one should stray from this practice. The Bach challenged the Ramah. He says, I don't understand you. How do you choose to follow a solitary opinion, which is basically an only opinion, like of one person, of the itur, and all the majority of the other poskim, they argue. So what are you doing? Right? There's a Bach asking against the Ramah. He says, I don't understand you. How are you coming and being lenient and coming and saying, no, you don't need to? He says, what's going on? Although the Ramah testified this was a common practice, it would be that in most cases the boys were not ready for bar mitzvah right before they became bar mitzvah. Therefore, the Bach ruled that if a 12-year-old boy is mature enough to study Gemara and is capable of maintaining himself clean, he's obligated to do so. The Marash Levi clarified that the Ramah's ruling only applied in Germany, where the common custom followed the itur. Sephardic Jews, however, must follow the ruling of Shulchan Aruch, which is like the majority of the poskim, which is going to obligate a boy to put it on even if he's not bar mitzvah, and that's also the Chikre Lev. The Olat Tamid also testified that many communities people follow the Shulchan Aruch training boys as young as 10 years old. A 10-year-old, right, to put it on. Shulchan Gawoa, right, testified in Saloniki, right, in Saloniki. He comes and he says the common custom was for boys a year or 2 years before Bar Mitzvah. They ignore the Ramah. The Magen Avraham wrote that in his time, even in Germany, everybody did it around 3 months before Bar Mitzvah.
The kid's going to put it over here, the nine people. Everybody's going to think it's
Nah, that's not... First of all, it's a Dirabanan. We're not going to have a problem there. Yeah? So he comes now and he says like this. He says, this is likewise the conclusion of a Rav Zalman, right? Brought down in Mishabra the Bahalacha. He cites the Pri Megadim recommending that people follow the ruling of the Bach and begin as soon as they become 12. The author of Yafil testified that his father, Bekiim Falache, struggled to put it on when he turned 11 years old. So imagine, we're talking about... Okay, well, obviously they became Gdolim because they were aspiring to greatness. Yeah, the practice of Yerushalayim. What do they do in Jerusalem? Yeah, Yerushalmi.
15.
Yeah, what?
15.
Let's see. Shulchan Gavoa added. Yeah, he comes and he says as follows. Yeah, he says like this. He was surprised that the residents of Yerushalayim did not train their sons to put on tefillin until they became 13 years old. Although this practice runs contrary to the ruling of the majority of Poskim, that Etz Chaim Satan relied on the testimony and added that it appears from the Etz Chaim that Rizal concurred with this custom. Based on this, and Tivei Am said that one should not train the boy until he's 13. The Yafel Levitch suggested that perhaps this had become the common custom even before Maran's ruling. So therefore, maybe that's why they didn't have to change like Maran. But Rishon LeZion rejected this, and he said it's very unlikely the Yerushalayim rabbis at a time that they were going to go like one person. It just doesn't make sense. So therefore, he says if a boy displayed sufficient maturity and discipline, they would obviously do it 100%. Okay? So what about now making the bracha of laniach? So the boy wearing the tefillin, right? He comes and he says, by the way, the Rishon LeZion, he also says, it's the correct practice, that he said that this is the case where a boy who studies Gemara and Halacha regularly, for some reason, he not repeat this condition is necessary. That basically that, that you could do it up to 2 years before. Up to 2 years before bar mitzvah, you'll be able to put on tefillin. It's a long time before, you understand? Which one? It's always practice. It's chinuch. Until you become bar mitzvah, for sure it's chinuch according to everybody, right? It's only chinuch. But you're allowed to make a bracha on chinuch. Okay? So he says now a boy wearing tefillin should likewise say the bracha, the appropriate bracha. What do you mean do you count?
No.
For sure not. For sure not. You're not bar mitzvah.
The merit of the chinuch is going to the kid, the child, or the father?
Both.
Both?
Of course.
Why not only the father?
The father gets the merit of chinuch for sure. But the kid, because he's putting it on already from now, he's going to become somebody greater. So he's also benefiting. Well, yeah, no, but the fact that he wants to do the mitzvah, it already has a kedusha on him and it has an effect on him. Okay?
Well, really, it's not a mitzvah because he's not doing a mitzvah.
No, it is. It's considered a mitzvah. That's what I'm saying. Mitzvah, again, the dinim of chinuch, he's obligated it. And therefore, since he's obligated himself into doing it, he gets the reward for doing it, but he's not mitzvah v'oseh. He's not mitzvah v'oseh. He's not commanded to do it, but if he does it, he gets a mitzvah. Yeah? So he comes and he says that he's going to make the bracha. When exactly should it begin? So he says the Rishon LeZion did not specify an age. He brought down the different custom, whether it's a year or 2 years. The Keteshin told the same thing. The Or LeZion claimed that according to the custom of Sephardic Jews, you should do it several years before becoming bar mitzvah. Right? So we're going to speak about Ashkenazim in 1 second. So what about the contemporary practice? So nowadays, what do you do nowadays? Right? That's a question. You have all the different shitot, but what do you do nowadays? So he says like this. Today, in Eretz Yisrael, many Sephardic Jews begin their sons wearing the tefillin only a month or two before the bar mitzvah. So 1 month or 2 months. Yeah? Okay. אבל חודש, חודשיים. כן? אבל לא אותו יום. Okay. Fine. But there are some who follow the instructions of the Rishon LeZion and begin a year or more before the bar mitzvah. And this is obviously superior practice. And this was a common custom in Morocco, as the Maim Chaim testified. And that's why you have the 12-year-olds already putting on tefillin. Right? Why?
Does the 12-year-old count for the minyan?
No. Okay? Now, it is reported, right?
J'ai pas dit 12 ans. Il a dit 11 ans. 13 ans, il peut pas compter.
Exactly. No, but even if they did a bar mitzvah, even if they did the bar mitzvah, it was just because of a party. It was just because of the party. It was a party. Le fait de bar mitzvah, c'est faire que dure 2 ans. Yeah? He's got his bar mitzvah. Right? It is reported that Rav Tzion Levi, yeah, you guys listening? Rav Tzion Levi, Mawaya, Marokai. Yeah, Rav Tzion Levi of Panama. He said he instituted the practice of putting tefillin. He was Moroccan, right? He was instituted the practice of putting on tefillin was 1 or 2 months before they became bar mitzvah. Our dear colleague Rav Mansour told us that the custom of Syrian Jews is to start wearing no earlier than 6 months before the bar mitzvah. Not earlier than 6 months. Okay, so that means 6 months and onwards. Ashkenazic contemporary customs. What do you do now? Okay, so he says among Ashkenazic Jews, some communities begin 2 months before the bar mitzvah. In other communities, they begin only 1 month before the bar mitzvah. Following the Ruch HaShulchan, the Piskei Teshuvot added that this was the common custom in Poland and Lithuania. Among many Hasidic communities, boys did not begin wearing tefillin until the day of the bar mitzvah. Going like the Ramah. Okay? So he comes and he says now, claiming that this is the correct practice according to the Kabbalah, since he only has Yetzirah Tov on a day. Fine, okay. But don't postpone the mitzvah. Harav Yosef Yedida Lewi. He comes and he complained bitterly that some fathers, if they cannot host the bar mitzvah celebration on time because of financial considerations or because they're waiting for an available hall, they're going to postpone their putting on the tefillin of the son until the 13th birthday. He says it's a terrible sin, for they are preventing the boy from fulfilling his obligations just because of his party. As Sephardic Jews, these fathers should have begun training their sons to wear tefillin long before the bar mitzvah, as soon as they're mature enough to fulfill it. There's no posek who permits postponing it until he becomes 13 years old. Well, why? Right? So he says, Yalkut Yosef recommended that the synagogue rabbis make sure that the people understand that the boy becomes bar mitzvah on the date of his 13th birthday, according to the Jewish calendar, and not according to the secular calendar. Meaning they're going to say, okay, fine, we're doing it according to the English calendar. Now it's going to come out later, right? So then what happens? So then he's going to do it later on. But he's already bar mitzvah. So you have to make sure that they're doing it beforehand. Okay. What about purchasing tefillin or borrowing? So he says like this: the Mishnah Berurah debated whether the father is actually obligated to purchase a set of tefillin for his son, or if he's permitted to borrow one or share his own set with his son. Although the words of the Gemara was that he has to purchase a set, no, technically you could actually lend it to him. Nowadays, since we wear tefillin only during shachrit, it's quite feasible for the father to do one shachrit and then the son does the second minyan. What's the big deal? And then there's no problem. It is clear from the Shulchan Aruch that the father is obligated to purchase a set of tefillin for his son as soon as he's old enough. It's not the child's obligation to pay for his own tefillin. Okay, so that means if the son comes and the father comes and says, no, you have to pay for your own tefillin. No, sorry. So he says if it becomes necessary to purchase a set of tefillin after the boy becomes bar mitzvah, right? So who's obligated to pay for it? So the Mishnah Berurah says once the boy becomes bar mitzvah, he's responsible, not the father, and therefore he would be obligated to pay for it. So he has to make sure that his father buys it before his bar mitzvah. Fine. Okay, last halacha, we do not differentiate between a boy whose parents and a boy who has no longer his parents. Selam shos, meaning it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make difference because whether he's got parents, not got parents. These halachot, it's all the same. So whether he has parents or not, it's not going to change when should he put on the tefillin. So you should put it on at the time that he's already going to be